Welcome, Pathfinders. I'm Rick, and I am here with John from Minneapolis, Minnesota, I believe it is. John is one of the event guys here. How many PaizoCons is this for you now?
This would be my sixth one.
Sixth one. Have you been volunteering for all of these?
Yes, I've been volunteering either tier one, or which is the highest amount, like they'll let you volunteer, and or doing enough to get to know people and everything else.
Okay, are you just a glutton for punishment, or?
No, for me, it's more along the lines of like I know what I can bring to a table, and I want other people to experience what I've had the pleasure of experiencing when or creating back home, and I want them to have the same high quality entertainment value because for some people this is their only vacation, and they save up a lot of money to come out here, and knowing that I want to do my best so that they go home with good thoughts, good feelings, and they tell their friends, hey, yeah, it was a great time, you should really go.
Yeah. All right, and of course, this PaizoCon is it's the big announcements for everything for second edition, the playtest coming up. Have you had a chance to play the playtest yet?
I have not. And for me, that's just kind of a personal preference. I prefer to look at the book, hold reserve judgment. It's like, yeah, I've got some opinions on what's come out, but I'm like, I want to have the book in front of me so I can read before I really formulate any sort of opinion. What I've heard or read through most of the various blogs, it's like, oh yeah, these are rule changes that kind of make sense.
Right.
And so it's like, and kind of seeing what they're taking from other game systems and how it's working into the D20 mechanic. And it's like, hey, a lot of these things are good changes. Or I'm like, not so sure about that one, but I want to read it, and see how it works at a table. Because I can just imagine how it's going to work, but until I sit down and like, all right, guys, let's do this, I really don't know how it's all going to shake out.
Okay. And so out of what you have heard, what has interested you the most with second edition?
The action economy, in all honesty, yeah. Especially when it comes to like spell casting. The idea that you have 3 actions and one action allows you to do this. Generally speaking, it's more of like a range personal or touch. You use 2 actions, it might be short range. 3 actions, in the sense of full round action, you have like a burst effect.
Yeah.
And so it allows a little bit of scaling, even at first level.
Yeah.
So in the idea that like, oh, magic missile, it's not just one missile until I hit 3rd level. If I want to waste a full round action casting magic missile, I can get up to 2 or 3 missiles from what I remember at first level.
Yeah.
It might not do maximum damage, but it's still something that it's like, oh, this is really awesome. Yeah. This is a great thing. How they changed the heal, like cure light wounds, is now just heal.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, 1 action, 2 actions, 3 actions, burst.
Yeah.
And so it makes, you start to like pick and, take a little bit of a look underneath the hood, and you kind of start to see some of the design elements that they're trying to introduce. Yeah. And having talked to Mark Seifter, known him for a while, and chatting with some of the other people, you kind of know how they operate and how like they want certain things to change, and they're having the opportunity to change really it's a lot of fun to see happening.
Awesome. It's a lot of people have actually given me that same feedback. So I think a majority of people are very interested by the 3-stage action economy.
Yeah.
So talking about the game that we all know and love for first edition, and maybe a little bit of feedback out there for the Paizo people, what from first edition are you most looking to have changed in second edition?
Oh, wow, that's a great question.
Everyone's got their thing.
Yeah, I know. And for me, it's not so much like this one thing has to change, or that's it, I'm not playing anymore.
Yeah.
I think it really is more of every new book that comes out that includes spells makes 1 or 2 classes that much more powerful.
Yeah.
The wizard.
Yeah.
And I tend to play martial characters, so it's always like, hey, I'm swinging, and you're like, oh yeah, 900 hit points of damage. Okay, I'm just gonna hang out in the corner. And
it basically just needs step up and disruptive even to keep up with the wizard.
Yeah, or you really have to like power game it to a certain point where to keep pace. And so I think the one thing that, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but the not necessarily needing to power game to be successful. That like nope, everybody starts at 10. You get a couple things from Ancestry, you get a couple things from your background, you get a couple things from your class, and that's where you start.
You want to see them rebalance it to keep martial characters functional at higher level play?
Yeah, it's that, but not any one class should completely and totally outshine any other class. Each class should have something unique that they can bring to an encounter or a scenario or an adventure path or a module that makes them feel they are contributing. And so as far as like a holdover from first edition, what I really want to see is the archetypes come back. And not having seen any of the core rulebook, I don't know if they're in there or not.
They are actually.
Okay, great.
They did answer that in one of the panels.
Oh, awesome! Hey, I'm looking forward to that. And some of the other like base classes, like the Witch and the Oracle. I really thought the Oracle should have been a core class for the second edition.
I actually do agree. I understand the reasoning behind the Alchemist and establishing alchemy early on.
Oh, totally.
But the Oracle, yeah.
Yeah, the Alchemist is a fabulous class in the sense that you can do so much. It's like, you can be the total mad scientist, or you can be Dr. Hyde. You can do whatever you want. And like, if you have an idea, there's going to be some way for you to make that alchemist. That's a great class. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. And so, totally made sense when that like showed up in the core rulebook. Everyone went, yeah, I can see that. Totally makes sense. But really, the Oracle is kind of like the spontaneous divine caster. And it's like, maybe they're just not happy with how certain things are working. They want to like tweak, fine-tune certain things before they're like, oh, here's the advanced player guide for second edition. And the Witch is where I'm totally expecting like the Witch, the Inquisitor, the Oracle, kind of like the advanced player's guide in first edition. When it makes its second edition debut, I expect a lot of the same style classes to like, Cavalier. But it's not going to be the Cavalier that we know from first edition. It'll be a second edition version of the Cavalier that might not always be like, oh, you're really based around teamwork feats.
I guess continuing from there, though, the last thing I was going to ask you, and with everything that has been announced for second edition, are you planning on participating in the Pathfinder playtest?
I will. Oh, yeah. Through Society, we'll have several playtest opportunities. I ordered all the stuff. I'm going to read it. We'll probably organize a couple games back home, whether it's through our regular game days or it's like me and 5 of my closest buddies get together to drink beer and like throw dice. Yeah, we'll be participating in the playtest. We've been playing Pathfinder pretty much since it's come out, so it's like we're really familiar with the first edition of the game, and so we want to see what's different, what's new, because I really don't want to have like, nope.
All right, well, yeah, that's going to be it. This is John, one of the fine people here volunteering at PaizoCon 2018. And until next time, good luck, Pathfinders.